As far as this keynote goes, we're going to be talking about our human communications and the way that we can actually build our member and volunteer recruitment through different ways of talking to people and kind of going back to basics. Now, I know that many of you guys, and I've been in therapy and I'm in therapy regularly myself. I understand what it used to look like, right? We used to go in, we used to lay on the couch, we used to sit there and you'd have your notebook and we'd go into the office and do that thing. And then obviously the pandemic happened and that changed a lot of things. And I'm sure many of you guys are still doing stuff now, maybe hybrid, maybe a lot of you are relying mostly on doing stuff virtually. It's funny, I actually did a family therapy session with my teenage daughter. It was always good to have some family therapy, right? We did some family therapy with her because, well, she started dating. And that freaked my wife and I out. So we're like, all right, we're going to have some therapy. We're going to help, set some ground rules for the family. We'd set up the laptop in the office, and then the three of us would sit on the couch. So we still had the couch going. We just had the therapist on the laptop there. It felt great. It was actually really nice. We kind of set the mood in our own office. So I'm sure many of you guys are doing things this way. But one of the things that is really interesting about moving more and more into the digital realm is that we kind of lose a little bit of humanity the further and further we go into it, right? And since you guys are in the business of humanity, you're in the business of helping people, it's really important that we don't forget that core essence. And so that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. And so you already heard in my introduction that my goal is to help professionals accelerate their growth by guiding them to be more collaborative, innovative, and influential. And to me, that really boils down to this thing that is me at my core, which is this entrepreneurial mindset, this entrepreneurial spirit. And that is a power I believe that everyone can possess, whether you guys are running your own shop or you're working for a larger shop. Embodying this kind of starter entrepreneurial mindset to be collaborative, to work with others, to be innovative and think of new ways of overcoming challenges, and of course, influencing people to do your will. No, but influencing them to get things done, right? You see how we're kind of in the capital of that stuff here, like the crazy Silicon Valley founders, right? You think about them. Everyone can kind of possess that power, but I think a big piece of it is building and leveraging human relationships. So what I want you guys to learn from today is, number one, to communicate your values in a more human way. And I'll get into some specifics on that, but it does come down to the ethos, the why you exist. Why do you exist? Think about that as we're kind of working through this presentation. What is the reason that you got into this business in the first place, right? It's probably to help people. Maybe you found therapy to be so beneficial to you when you were younger that you decided to get into it. Think about what that is. And then the second here is to build lasting relationships, not only with your patients, your customers, but with your members and your volunteers, which is what I'm understanding is one of the big things that you guys are trying to do this year, right? Is to retain and expand on both of those throughout. There's a lot of people out there that can get involved in your organization. And so we're going to use some of these skills today that's going to help you do that. But mostly, I want you guys to take away from this is new ways of engaging your audiences, which are those members and volunteers. Because without engagement, there is no community. That's why you are here at this meeting today. This is an engagement exercise. This is one that we're doing in person, one that we're doing to be able to collaborate and learn from each other. And so engagement is the key here. You guys good on these? Okay, cool. Even if you weren't, I was still going to teach you those anyway. So I just like to, again, make sure everybody's on board. So, all right. So first concept to think about here, we've all seen these terms, right? B2B, business to business, B2C, business to consumer. Very familiar. We know what this is. Okay, I want you guys to throw that away. Ditch that, okay? Ditch B2B, ditch B2C, ditch association to member, A to M, whatever you want to call it. Ditch that type of terminology. What I want you guys to think about going forward is this concept of H2H, human to human. Sometimes I've seen it as P2P, person to person. Thinking of the way that we're doing business and we're crafting our messaging and the way that we speak to people needs to be at that human level. As I mentioned before, I've been working in marketing for, over 20 years. I've worked for tech companies and service businesses and all kinds of stuff. And I've lived very much in the B2B world. And when we're crafting our messaging, when we're crafting our communication strategy, a lot of times we're doing it toward a business. A lot of times we're doing it toward a specific audience, but we're not thinking about the actual human on the other side of that, the human that's going to be receiving that message. And so when you guys are thinking about whether you're building the landing page for your chapter, your specific chapter, or you're sending an email, I want you guys to think, okay, how is the actual human on the other side of this going to receive it? We can be very, very selfish in the way that we write messages, right? It's very much, oh, it's about me. This is what we do. Join our chapter. Get involved. But why? Why are they doing that? Or why should the audience care? Why should they? So think about the human receiving that message on the other end. So grab your phones. I got our first interactive piece here. Everybody take your phone out. I want you guys to scan this QR code. We're going to build a word cloud, okay? I want you guys to scan this code, and then you'll see a little box pop up. It has just open text. So I want you guys to type into that text box what you think it means to be, quote, human first in the way that you run your chapters. So I'll give you guys a moment to do that, and we're going to build a fun little word cloud, and we'll see what shows up. Okay, good, it's working. We were doing some testing earlier, and we're like, oh my gosh, is the Wi-Fi gonna carry? But I see there are 16 participants typing. There we go. Look at this. Okay. Present, listening, connection, genuine, authentic. Oh, these are great, guys. Connecting to their story. Connection's a big one so far. What are the needs of the members? Consideration, compassion and empathy, listening. Ooh, this is fun. Look at us. We're getting creative early in the morning on a Saturday. Connection, authenticity, curious, vulnerable. It's like our number one and number two so far are connection and empathy, which obviously are keys to what you deliver, what you actually do for your patients at the end of the day, right? Humor, honesty, hearing, relatedness. Someone wrote, what are the needs of the members? Yep, that's great, understanding their needs. Okay, this is kind of cool. Transparency, heartfelt, service, powerless, personalized, real, loving. Man, you guys have a lot of terms in your industry. Holy crap. I'll do that. I did this presentation at like a travel summit. They put like 2 things up. They put trip, plane, baggage. I was like, okay, like look at this just shows me how smart y'all are in this audience. This is fantastic. So I think these are all really great, right? So the key to this is thinking, okay, you have this big word cloud of all of these terms. But how do you condense it down? How do we take these and then turn them into action? And again, that's what I'm hoping that we can do for you guys today. So this is pretty cool. But it looks like connection was the number one, and empathy, vulnerability, authenticity, kind of like your number 2, 3. So this is pretty neat. So the way that I define what human first is this. So it's building an emotional connection with our members and clients that is both helpful, authentic, respectful, and personal. And so good job on some of you guys. We got a few of those terms that are up there. We got a few that are there. And again, this is just one take at it. But when I look at these 4 terms here, I want to dig a layer deeper. And so I think about helpfulness. And again, the audience that you guys are trying to attract and retain, your members, your volunteers, how are you helping them? And if you are truly helping them advance their careers, get connected, learn how to run their practices better connect with their patients, ultimately deliver a better product, if that's how you help them, how are you then telling them that? Are you conveying that clearly? That's the challenge. That's the difficult part. Because a lot of times we have it in our heads. We go, yeah, of course, we're being super, super helpful. But if you read the emails you write, if you see the social media posts that you create, if you see the call for volunteers, the call for members that you're doing, and you go, oh man, are we actually showing them how we're actually helpful? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Authenticity, I think that one was a pretty high one up on your list. Being the real you, being the real organization that CAMFT is as a whole needs to translate down to your chapter. So having that authenticity is key, respectful of them and their time. Because you guys all in here are leading these chapters, but you guys do have your own businesses at the end of the day that you're running, right? Or you're working for a business. And so your time here, this was on a Friday and Saturday for a reason. It wasn't in the middle of the week when you guys have to be doing most of your serving, right? That you guys have it this time to carve that out so that way you can make sure that you're doing your regular work. Not everybody can take a week off in the middle of the work time to be able to come to a show like this. So again, thank you for being here for this, but you have to be respectful of their time also and go, well, why are these people volunteering? Why aren't they joining? And they go, well, their time is of essence. Time is money to them. People are stressed out. Stress at work is at an all-time high, and I'm sure you guys know this because you're dealing with people coming in, and so you're seeing this with your patients, but you're also seeing this for yourselves. You're like, wow, I'm super stressed out. So if you're feeling that, then you could imagine what your prospective members, your volunteers, are also feeling. And then lastly is being personal. So again, like understanding who they are. That's that P2P, that H2H. That's the meeting them where they're at to be able to make that connection with them. And so before we build any good communication strategy, and I'm going to put my marketing hat on, my professional marketer hat on, okay? You guys with me? Hat on. We're going to think through what our audience actually looks like. I'm actually curious. Does anyone here have any marketing chops? Anyone call themselves a marketer? You're very unsure?
20 years before I.
Okay, so 20 years before. So you went from marketing to therapy. It drove you to therapy. I get it. Marketing. Boy, it's doing it to me too. So, and also curious, how many people here own their own businesses? Okay, most of you. Okay, cool. So whether you have a marketing hat on or not, or are a professional marketer or not, excuse me, you have to have this hat on at some point, right? So you're thinking about marketing for your company, but you're also thinking about marketing for your chapter too, right? Because we have to build a strategy to market, to attract our members, to attract our volunteers, and then also for your business. So these are hats that you wear whether you recognize it or not. So we're doing some marketing skills here. So when I'm thinking about building a communication strategy, the first thing that I'm thinking about is what that audience looks like. So first thing I think about is there's a variety of demographics, right? They could be their age, their race, their income, where they live, all that stuff. Set that stuff aside. Let's think about the psychographics, which I think you guys especially should be really, really good at, right? Is understanding the human piece of it. Do they have a family? Do they want one? What do they care most about in this world? Is it something like that? What is ultimately driving them? What is their why for the business that they're in that's going to ultimately, that what you're doing at home that's going to ultimately help them? What is driving them? What are their hobbies? Because hopefully we don't live to work, we work to live, right? So again, the output is the things that we like to enjoy doing here in this world. And maybe we like putting on those wetsuits and running into the cold ocean water here. You know, when I lived here, I went to the beach like one time, just once. It was just always too cold. And then you get that warm, sunny day. Guys in the Bay, you guys know the one warm, sunny day, and you want to drive to Half Moon Bay, and 92 is shut down because it's just back-to-back. You can't even get there. It's like, forget about it. So that's not me. I jump on my motorcycle. That's what I like to do. I love going for rides. What do they believe in? You know, what are their core beliefs at the end of the day? Do you share in those things? Do those things mean a lot to them? How about what are their career aspirations? Do they want that corner office? Do they want to keep their business a small business? Do they want to grow into the largest therapy company in California? Maybe, maybe not. We want to ask them. We want to find out. The only way that we can kind of get to the bottom of understanding what the body of the audience looks like is asking them these questions and taking a moment to understand, again, who they are at a psychographic level. And then I think about how do they like to communicate. So communication, the vessel, the abilities that we have changed a lot over the past 10, 20 years. Again, thanks to a lot of the people in this area of the world here in Silicon Valley have changed a lot of that. But maybe they're more old school and they like to still chat on the phone. Maybe they like instant messages. Maybe they want texts. Maybe they want email. Maybe they want smoke signals for all I care. I don't know what they like. The only way for you to communicate properly to them is then to also ask them and go, okay, what is the best way for me to deliver my message to you? I know that having duplicative ways is always great, like a phone, and you get a text message, and it may be this, maybe that, maybe it's the email. Building in a system that allows for multiple ways of communication is key. And we'll talk about a little bit more of this in the session after this one about Gen Z, because how do they like to communicate? It's only on mobile, right? Yeah, I saw someone up here, right? Phone only. And I have a Gen Z daughter, and I'll talk about her in a little bit too, just a foreshadow. But I'll be texting with her, and I'm like, this is getting long. I'll just try to call her. She doesn't answer the phone. I'm like, the phone is in your hand, right? So I was busy. Yeah, Snapchatting or whatever, or TikToking now that didn't go away. So thinking about how they like to communicate, but not just the vessel too, but the tone of voice, that's super important. So obviously as an organization, CAMFT has kind of a brand ethos. It has brand pillars. It has a certain voice and a certain tone. And prior to even coming to this meeting and getting on stage with you guys, I had multiple calls with Michelle and other people from the organization, and we were trying to figure out the best ways of delivering this message to you and understanding you guys, which I heard you guys are a lot of fun and a great group, and so I knew we could have some fun with this presentation, which was cool. But I wanted to understand that before I came up here and just went all crazy or went all drab and just, doom and gloom, right? I wanted to make sure that the message was going to resonate best with you and match the brand of the organization too. So you have to think about that as well. So the vessel, and then also the tone, the tonality of it. Is it light? Is it fun? Is it serious? What is the brand that you're trying to match for CAMFT and for your chapter, but also what's going to resonate most with the audience? But basically, your members and volunteers, they don't want this. They don't want to feel like they're just talking to a bunch of robots on the other end of a computer, right? We are in the AI age, folks. I know you guys are looking on social media and you're jumping on chat bots and things like that, and you're going, is this a real person on the end of this thing? Is anything real anymore? I don't know. It's crazy. And so your audience feels the same way. And so right now we have this amazing baseline that's been created. And the baseline is that because of how fast technology is moving and because of how digital everything is, that has become what we're kind of used to. And so we have a grand opportunity to exceed that by going back to the basics of just delivering real, authentic human experiences and connections. Because if your experience is, I'm going to book my appointment for my next therapy session, I'm going to go on and learn about volunteer opportunities at my local chapter, and I'm going to try to chat with somebody, and I'm assuming I'm just going to get a chat AI bot, and it's going to suck. And then all of a sudden, it's a real person that gets on the phone and talks to them. It's a real person that delivers a message to them. It's a real person that is actually emailing with them back and forth, and you can tell by what is said in the email, what is said in the way that it's delivered, and people go, "Oh wow, that's actually really cool. I feel like I have a real connection with this organization, and I'm more likely to get involved." Does that make sense? So, staying away from the shiny object of digitizing everything you do in your communication, I'm encourage you guys to try to do that this year. It's very easy to do because, again, you're busy. You're trying to optimize your time as much as possible. And so, yes, I could just pop over to ChatGPT and have it help me write every single email. But eventually, people are going to pick up on that, and they're going to be like, that was a chat email. They don't actually care about the message that they're sending me because they're just going and copying and pasting whatever AI is telling them to do. So there's some caution that you guys can take with that. But again, the baseline is that everyone's like, I can't trust anything. I don't know what's real. So if you can deliver something that's real, you're going to wow your members and your volunteers, and they're more likely to connect with you and ultimately get involved. So here's a cool LinkedIn message that I got. This is a real LinkedIn message from this guy named Joe Singer. Sorry, Joe. I always put him on blast in this presentation. I'm wondering one day if I'm going to do this presentation, he's going to be in the room and he's going to be like, hey! But I know he's not here today. Maybe at a marketing conference because he's a co-founder and CMO of a company called Merged Analytics. Maybe one day I'll speak at an analytics conference and he'll be there. He'll be in the back just, oh my God. I need therapy after this. So Joe Singer sent me this LinkedIn message. And guys, as a marketer, my marketing friend, you know, when you have marketing in your title on LinkedIn, you get a million messages every week from people hitting you up about stuff, getting some nods. So, I mean, you guys too, as business owners too, they'll see, hey, owner of, you have owner in there, you're going to get a million of these, right? So this guy, Joe, sent me the message and he said, hi, Scott. Hi, Scott. I am the co-founder and CMO of this company. My company does blah, 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 blah. Oh, Joe. So I wrote it back and I said, my name is Tim. I hit send. Can you believe it? I never heard from Joe. I thought he'd be like, oh, that's what I meant to say. Where did Joe go wrong here? The very well, first of all, he shouldn't be sending me messages because he knows he would know as a professional speaker, I'm going to take his stuff and put him on blast. That's not his first mistake. Second mistake is obviously getting my name wrong. Third mistake is just talking about himself. Fourth mistake is just copying, pasting a message that he probably sent to 100 other people that day, and he forgot to change the name from Scott to Tim. He forgot, didn't he? That's what he did. I've done it. I've done that too. Just to own up to my piece of it, I've done it too. And I'm sure we all have when we've had a lazy moment. But if you're prospecting and he's trying to sell me something, you gotta be human. You gotta have your attention to detail. You gotta get my name right at the very least, and then also give me a message that resonates with me and shows me that you understand who I am, that you are following the P2P, the H2H. He was doing B2B. He was talking about himself. He was talking about God knows what. I didn't even keep scrolling, but you can see how far look at the progress bar. Look at how long that message actually was at the end of the day. But I don't remember. All I remembered was needing to screenshot this and save it for later. So he was not being human in the way that he was doing his outreach. You guys have an opportunity again to be, and maybe you're not doing it on LinkedIn for your members and your volunteers. Maybe you are. This is just one example of the wrong message and using the wrong channel to try to get a hold of me. So going back to the one before when we were talking about the ways that they like to communicate and the vessels of which to do it. So this was no good. So don't be like Joe. Customize your message, make it stand out. You can do things at scale thanks to technology that allow you to continue to be human. Now this is very, very human. So this is a little handwritten note that I got with a couple of pieces of candy and a water bottle that was sitting in a hotel room when I spoke at an event in Nashville last year. So I'm tired, I'm traveling, I flew in, I go to my hotel room, I walk in, and on the desk, there's this. And not a big deal, right? It's just some M&Ms and Kit Kat and a bottle of water and a note. Not a huge deal at all, but completely unexpected. They rolled out the red carpet to me in just the littlest way, and I was like, wow, that's cool. Good job, Courtyard, Marriott, Nashville. In the note, handwritten, it wasn't typed, and it was kind of long. I would say it's almost as long as Joe's note in LinkedIn. But it was handwritten by the manager to me. Just thanks so much for being here. We're excited to see you speak tomorrow at the event we're hosting. And it was literally just like this. It was in one of the rooms in their property. And this kind of thing blew me away. But it was just the littlest thing, right? Because it was completely unexpected. So the question that I want to pose for you guys is, how can you do this kind of a thing? And maybe it's not candy, maybe it's not water, but you can think kind of creatively, think outside the box a little bit on how you can do this to, again, attract and retain your members and your volunteers. What are those little things that you can do to nudge them, to help them, that's going to make them feel special and make them feel a connection to you? Now, I will, again, give Marriott credit, but if they would have really known me, they would have known I'm a Reese's guy, and so they would have gotten me that. But that's okay. That's okay. It was the thought that counts, literally. It's so much so that, again, I'm showing you guys this. This is almost like my Yelp review. So if you're ever going to Nashville, the Courtyard Marriott, you expect a bottle of water and some candy when you guys check in, okay? So that's a very human thing to do. Now, here's something else that I saw was really human. I don't know if this group is in the room today, but I love this example. Oh, yeah, I see you. I see her. There's a president. So this is your chapter is Santa Clara Valley, right? So this is your host chapter. Where are my Santa Clara Valley people at? Over there? Okay. Hey guys. Yeah. So in my homework, I was doing a little look around your websites, trying to see like, hey, who's got some really good human messaging? And I stumbled across these guys, which conveniently we happen to be in their home turf here. So I figured I'd just show you guys their website, but more importantly, this little video.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel, and I'm your new Director of Membership for the Santa Clara Valley chapter of CAMFT. And I'm reaching out to you all today to encourage you to join our chapter. The SCV chapter is designed to support the community of mental health professionals in cities throughout San Mateo and Santa Clara County who are also members of CAMFT. By joining SCV CAMFT, you'll have access to networking opportunities through our hosted events, social gatherings, and Google Group SCV Exchange. You'll be able to contribute to your licensure requirements through our CEU events, which you'll receive at a discounted rate with your membership. And you'll also have access to free monthly support groups. Not to mention, we host an annual membership celebration free to our members towards the end of the year to help build connection and show our appreciation for your support. To find out more, click the link in the post. We hope you'll join us.
Give them a round of applause. What do we think about this little website snapshot? Do we think that's human? I see two really great things on this page that made this human. Yes, this awesome why you should join us homemade video from, what's her name again? Rachel. Rachel's not here? I was hoping she was going to be here. From Rachel, we got the message from our lovely president from the chapter who's sitting here. This was not a far scroll down on the website. Yes, there's a lot of other copy. There's a lot of other content. There's a join today. There's a list of the events coming up. There's the support stuff on the side. There's a lot of things to go over on the website. But these two things, they stood out to me so much. And I clicked around to a lot of your websites, but this one stood out to me because they had this great video from Rachel that was just like, hey guys, I'm the head of membership. I'm really excited to have you guys be part of our organization, blah, blah, blah. You heard what she said. But she made it about the audience, right? She made it about them. She talked about the benefits and then also did it in a superhuman way, which was just, she wasn't sitting there reading a teleprompter. Maybe she had a little script and practiced it a couple times before she recorded, but she just recorded it, put it out there and was like, this is me, this is us, we're raw, we're personal, this is our chapter, come join us, come hang out with us. And then you've got the great message from the president to support it below that, right? That's cool. And so if I'm a potential member, potential volunteer, and let's say I have my choice of Bay Area chapters to be part of. Let's say maybe I have an office in the East Bay and maybe I have one down here and I'm like, I can't join more than one. Let me check their websites and learn a little bit more about them. And then I stumble on this one versus the East Bay one. And again, East Bay people, I don't know if I actually looked at yours, so I'm not trying to pick on you. Okay. But let's just say East Bay one didn't have this and these guys did. And I'm like, wow, Rachel really stood out to me. I think I'm going to join this and get involved with that Silicon Valley, or excuse me, Santa Clara Valley one. Because I don't know why, I just really felt kind of like pulled toward them for some reason. I'm not sure. This is the reason. The message being delivered in a human way, in a vessel that's actually touching that audience. Happens to be the website, happens to be this video, happens to be this message. But when you combine these things together and tie them back again to what you believe as an organization, you can just tell that the Santa Clara chapter really cares about being welcoming, about making sure that they know who the leadership is, making sure that the potential members and volunteers get with the program and get the value of being that member, right? So again, I'll say good job to you guys for having this. And this would be a tangible example of maybe ways that you guys could go, shoot, that was really cool what Santa Clara Valley was doing and what Tim showed. Maybe we should tweak our website to be a little more human in the way we deliver our message. So real world, concrete example. I actually just found, I just was doing some of this just this week in prep for this presentation, and I was so happy to have found this and be able to put this in there and share that with you guys. So the message here really boils down to what the audience cares about at the end of the day. What makes them tick? Whenever you're trying to deliver a product or service to somebody, and again, you guys are delivering your service to your therapy patients for sure, but you're delivering something of service or a product to the members and volunteers too. You're selling something. As much as you guys are like, oh no, it's a volunteer organization and da, 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 you literally are selling and marketing something to them. So you have to, again, get to the bottom of what they care about. What is the reason that I would get involved with your chapter? What is the reason I would volunteer? Is it to advance my career? Is it the networking opportunities? Is it to make my business better? To make me have a better product to my patients? Maybe it's all of the above. But the thought behind this is that whatever keeps your customer up at night, and your customer being the member and volunteers, whatever keeps them up at night, that should be keeping you up at night too. That to me is one of the things that always drives me as an entrepreneur, and caring a lot about what my customers care about. Like Michelle brought me in to speak for you guys today. I knew that she was probably super, super stressed out about putting together this fantastic event for you guys. Let's actually give her a round of applause, please. Yeah. So she's great. And obviously the team, but she was producing this thing. We were doing sound checks this morning, and she's like sweating and running around and putting stuff together. And I knew that I needed to not be a pain point for her. I knew what was keeping her up at night was making sure that this was great for you guys today. And so as soon as I landed at SFO, I sent her an email, said, hey, just wanted to let you know I've landed. I'll see you in the morning. Really looking forward to it. Don't worry. I get here, I'm here early, we're getting stuff set up. I'm like, it's all tested, we're golden, we're good to go. Don't worry. Because I knew that that was probably going to be keeping her up at night. I wanted to make sure I wasn't participating or making that worse. I wanted to alleviate that because I cared about that. And I got in here around like 10:45 last night. So literally what was keeping her up was keeping me up. So you have to think about that and always drive your message and the value toward what your customer, again, in this example, your members and volunteers care about the most. So how can we be a little more human? I gave you guys the example of the website for sure. But the number one thing here is just delighting your members, your volunteers, your sponsors. We have some of them outside. They want to be delighted too. They're also one of your customers. They care a lot. So being delighted, again, is just that example of rolling out just a little red carpet. It doesn't have to be a gigantic red carpet and a big celebration and a parade and all that, but just something really, really small, kind of like the candy and the water bottle and the note that I got at the Courtyard Marriott. So delighting them wherever you can. It's just something that's unexpected, something that they would perceive as out of the norm. Second is following the platinum rule. How many of you guys do therapy for kids in here? Do you guys tell them about the golden rule when you do it? We still do that? Hey, here's the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Do you guys know what the platinum rule is? What is it? Treat others as they wish to be treated. My bald brother back there. He knows his stuff. Yeah. He knows his stuff. So the platinum rule is treat others the way they want to be treated, which is actually one of the most human things you could possibly do. Just because you want to be treated a certain way doesn't mean that they do. Just because you want to be involved in the organization this way, or get an email or a text message or a note or this or that, doesn't mean that your customer, in this example, does. So you want to treat them the way that they want to. And again, the way that you figure that out is going all the way back to those psychographics, going back to the communication channels, going back to understanding who they are in their unique moment, which is actually one of the terms that you guys threw up earlier, which was empathy, right? So following that platinum rule. Golden rule is great. Platinum rule, that one's better. If you guys can get to the platinum point, you guys have made it. And then engaging with that empathy and emotional intelligence. So it's not just obviously meeting people where they're at to be empathetic, but it's about knowing what to say in the right moment and when to say it, which again, my expectation is you guys are super, super good at this, being therapists. My wife says I'm terrible at the emotional intelligence part. I'm working on it, okay? Again, I welcome any recommendations you guys have in the breaks. Thank you. Emotional intelligence is again the next level of empathy, right? It's knowing what to say, when to say it, and meeting people where they're at, and just being a keen observer into their personal experience. And then the last one here is this relationship and rapport building. So this is a community, and technically an association like yours and the chapters that you have, these are all just microcosms of the greater community, and there's every state has one of these organizations, I'm sure, that's just like yours, and hopefully I can go hang out with them someday too. But the understanding here is that the relationship needs to be one to one. Your organization to this member, to this volunteer, to this member, to that volunteer, as much as it possibly can be. I'm not trying to create more work for you guys, but being able to at least get someone's name right, oh my gosh. Being able to at least understand what their problem is, oh my gosh. Even if you create a profile for them, which is call that an ideal customer profile or a buyer persona in marketing speak, you don't have to worry about that. But if you at least you're thinking about what that member, what that volunteer, what they look like, what their psychographics are and what they care about, you're building that profile, you'll be able to at least start to build a relationship with them through authenticity, again, through your emotional intelligence, but then the rapport and having that buddy type of relationship where they also then become an advocate for your group too, which is super important. Because one of the ways that you guys drive membership is by a member telling another member, telling another member, telling another member. And wouldn't it be a great scenario if a new member was like, yeah, I was really curious about joining and I wasn't sure, but then I went to their website and they had this great little message and then I saw some of the values of it and I went to an event and oh my gosh, everyone was so nice and I'm getting so much out of it. You should come too. That's what we want. That's how we're going to really get our members. And the way that we're going to do that is by getting the ball rolling with these steps. And then this one is a big one. Every industry I know has a lot of corporate speak. I'm sure you guys have a ton too. That those things that inside baseball, those things that you guys say, your signals and your signs, and the way that you speak about different things, and the way that you communicate with each other. What if someone is newer? What if someone was in marketing for 20 years and decided that it was just too much, and I want to listen to someone else's problems, and became a therapist? And they're new, and they don't know the inside baseball. They don't know the corporate speak. And you start going, oh yeah, well, if you come to our organization, blah, 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 and you just start vomiting all of the corporate speak on them, they're going to go, whoa. I don't know what any of that means. I just need help growing my practice. Am I going to get that from you? And you're going to go, oh yeah, sorry. Yes, we can totally do that. But what if they got turned off right away by that? So we have to cancel corporate speak when we're trying to recruit new people to our organization. Corporate speak is not human. And saying things like at the very beginning, like B2B and B2C and blah, 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 like that kind of stuff is what I'm talking about. That is the corporate speak that is going to drive people away. So you want to cancel that when you're doing your communication to recruit these new people to come to your organization. So the ways that we're refining that is, number one, we're going to understand, again, who we're speaking to. We've figured out our audience. We know what keeps them up at night. We're building a profile on that, and we're going to segment that out. We know that, okay, volunteers, they feel this way. Our members, they feel this way. So we're going to build maybe 2 different strategies to reach those 2 different groups. So who are we speaking to? And then why are we speaking to them? This is sometimes the hardest question to answer. You're like, oh, well, duh, like we have an event coming up and we got to let them know. And you're like, well, okay. Why are you doing that? You know when kids just go, why? You're going to be like, that's Tim. Tim's up there just going, why, the whole time. But in all seriousness, go deeper with your why, your purpose of the communication. Because yes, the event might be the reason, that we're sending out this message, that we're bringing people together. But what you're actually trying to do is create some sort of value for them. And so what needs to be communicated is not necessarily the event, it's the value. So if you think about the message, you could picture a subject line on email and you could say, CAMFT Leadership Conference, save the date, coming up soon. Or instead of saying something like that, you would say, grow your chapter. Membership is of essence in 2025, blah, blah. You talk to the problem that you're solving. You say, come join us at this event, right? It's kind of like flipping it around. So really thinking of why you're speaking to them first. And if it's not a good reason, then don't do it. And then how are you doing that? So we talked about the vessel, the channel. Is it going to be over a social post? Is it going to be over email? Are you going to physically call them? What is the best way to do that? That's going to obviously have the most engagement. And then where are you doing it? So this one's kind of interesting. You're like, duh, in my pajamas, in my home office, I'm sending this email. But where are they when they're getting this communication? Are they taking their kids to school and you're calling them? Are they on vacation? Are they currently in session or working? So again, the reason why this event was on Friday and Saturday was to not overly disrupt your workflow. So they're having it on Saturday. So they're doing it, the where is in this place on a Saturday because they knew that you guys have businesses to run. So understanding the who, why, how, and where of the communication, of the speaking, is going to help set you guys apart in developing this human communication strategy. But then lastly, I just don't want you guys to be so damn boring. Like, how many times do you guys get an email or you see a social media post or someone, again, is like Joe messaging you on LinkedIn going, hey, and you're just like, kill me, and you're just banging your head against the desk like this girl. Boring messaging, boring delivery, and a boring approach is not human, you guys. Even though this is a very human experience, it's not one that you want to create for your audience. You guys can have some fun. We're gonna have fun in 2025, right? You guys are having fun at this show. Like, again, I see the energy here. I feel the vibes. I see a lot of smiles. You guys are excited to be here. Like, you're designed to learn something from this show, but also to have some fun while doing it. So delivering a boring message is one of the worst things you could do. So don't make it boring. Make it fun, but also make it match your brand. So here's a cool quote. So the most likable people are genuine, consistent, non-attention seekers who make a strong first impression and greet people by their name. And that's by this guy, Dr. Travis Bradbury, who's the co-author of this book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. And so we want to be likable because when we're likable, people are more likely to build a relationship with us, and we have that relationship and that rapport we talked about a little while ago. But what stands out to me are those key adjectives there. So genuine, right? Authenticity, you guys called that out before. Consistent. So this one, I don't know if I saw that one in the word cloud, but this one to me is interesting. If you're sending a newsletter and it's the last Thursday of the month and you miss that time and you send it the first Tuesday and then you send 2 in 1 month or you forget it for 3 months, that's not consistent. That's not human. And your audience is like, hey, what happened to that newsletter? I used to get that. I like that. Where is it? So being consistent, not seeking attention, right? Because it's not about you. It's about them. It's about your audience. And then make that strong first impression, greeting people by their name. Hi, guys. My name's Scott, according to that guy, Joe, right? Joe did not follow Dr. Travis Bradbury's advice. Actually, maybe he was consistent. Maybe because he was just copy and pasting all day, just bam, 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 bam. That's consistent, I guess, at least. So this is a cool quote with some really strong pieces in it that I think you guys can take heart. So what can we do? So here's your action steps. Ready? So the first thing that you guys can do is review your current communication channels. And so what do I mean by that? I know you guys are all going to go look at your website now after this. For sure. I'm getting a lot of nods. Oh, yeah. So you're going to take a look at your website. You're going to take a look at your email promotions that are going out. You're going to take a look at whatever other communication channels that you have. Like, what is in your plan? Do you have a plan? It's okay if you don't completely have a plan, but at least take a look at all the channels that you have and go, okay, when are we using these? How are we using these? What message are we delivering in these? Are these most effective? Is this a waste of time? Maybe this one's a total waste of time. Our members don't care about Snapchat. Why are we posting snaps? Maybe they do. And I think one of the interesting things going back to some of the demographic stuff is like depending on where you guys are in California and the markets that you're in, you might have completely different members and volunteers. Some might be younger, some might be older. So the communication channels will probably vary between your chapters, right? I was talking to some people from Pasadena over here. There might be some people that are in some college town over here, and you're like, oh, well, actually, most of our people are Gen Z and younger. So Snapchat, Tim, is actually a good one that we like to use. Okay, so review the ones that you believe are going to be most effective, and understand what message. Like, kind of do an audit. Understand what messages that you're sending. See if they're consistent, and see if they've been effective. Second one is to identify that audience, learn their preferences and desires. So this is just like a reset. This is a review. Taking a look at your members and your volunteers that are within your wheelhouse, your space, the ones that you're currently engaged with. It's almost like taking a look at your database and saying, okay, hey, what do they prefer from us? Do they want to have this email every week? Do they want to have our meetup once a month? Do they want this? Do they want that? And then what do they want out of our organization? What do they want? What is keeping them up at night? That's this question. And one of the ways that you can answer this is by doing an assessment of looking at your membership. You could also survey them. You could straight up ask them. You're at an event. You're like, hey, what's your biggest concern for 2025 and growing your practice, your business? How can our CAMFT chapter help you with that? Oh, it'd be really great if we tried that. And you're like, oh, wow, dang, okay, I didn't ever thought of that. And all of a sudden now you've got all of these things and you're going, wow, we've been wasting our time doing this stuff. They don't care about this. We should be doing this. So it helps you focus. So you're not just wasting time doing things that aren't effective. And then number 3 is aligning your channels and your messaging to that audience. So again, you've got your current communication channels, you've identified your audience, you've got the preferences, desires, and now you're gonna say, okay, we've taken a look at that, we are gonna start doing a Snapchat now, or we are gonna now launch this email newsletter, or we're gonna stop doing this thing. So whether what you're doing or what you're not doing, that is going to be your next step, and then you roll it out and you launch it. So then the final piece is to get all your stakeholders on board. And so you guys are a volunteer organization. There's a chapter president. You have treasurers. You have all of these people. And I know some chapters are bigger, some are smaller. So it's very imperative that when you're doing this, and whoever's part of your marketing team or your communications team, that you put someone as like kind of the champion of it, but you also then have everyone understand why this is being done and what the plan is going forward. And this is literally just following these 4 steps. You guys can be able to do that and build a really effective but meaningful communication plan for your chapter. We good on these? Sweet. So with that, I'm going to say thank you guys. I hope that you learned a lot. Grab your phones again, though. I'm going to give away a couple copies of my book to some of the fastest hands in the room. So if you guys want to scan this QR code, and I've got my tablet up here, and it's going to tell me who's coming in. And just to give you guys a little bit of summary again, this book is all about how you can put on, whether you're a business owner or you're wearing that marketing hat, how you can think like a crazy Silicon Valley startup founder would go about building their business. This is my story of how I've had to constantly start over and over and over and over again. I was laid off 6 times in marketing throughout my career, working here in Silicon Valley and Chicago and all over the place. So I've learned a lot along the way of how I can build things kind of from the ground up. Okay, let's see who we have coming in. We have Chad Fraga. Chad? All right, Chad. And then second one here, Rhiannon Katabin. Hey, all right. So in the break, we'll have you guys come up here. I'll sign these. We'll take some photos. And with that, I want to say thank you guys so much. I hope you learned a lot about how you can be more human in your communication strategy. And I look forward to also doing a couple of rounds of sessions on Gen Z and how we're going to be able to track them as members and volunteers too. Thank you.